So I'm going to talk to you today about my Zoom setup that I use for all of my online youth groups right now. Elephant in the room, why don't you just use your laptop, webcam and microphone like everybody else, Tim? Because they're rubbish. That's not entirely fair. With Zoom, you're missing that personal connection. You're talking to someone through a screen, and I want to get as much from that interaction as possible. Not to mention, when you've got an adult in the room, they need to be visible and clearly heard so people will respond well to them. For that reason, I want a decent picture and decent sound that always works. Let me show you what I use. So let's talk about these three pieces: lights, camera, microphone. I think it's important to have a light that illuminates your face so people can see you clearly. The problem with this one is it's not soft light. If I take off this cover, blah! Now they did send me a couple of filters. It's not bad, but it's not great, and the clear one doesn't really diffuse the light enough. So I came up with a very expensive option. Kitchen towel. And this diffuses the light a little bit like a softbox. I have natural light coming through the window, but most of my meetings are in the evening, and so I have this light sat just behind the camera, so it's always illuminating my face. The camera on the MacBook is pretty good, but having a separate camera allows me to do things like this. And there are times, especially when I'm using PowerPoint or when I'm typing things or annotating, where it's just nice to have the laptop closer to me, but without the frame jumping. This external camera will allow you to sit it on top of the screen, like this. And that's okay, but the problem is when you type or when you move your laptop, the screen wobbles a little bit, and that's transferred to shaky frames. Camera quake! The screen will wobble and so will your picture. So I much prefer to have it mounted on the tripod behind it. Now the reason I have the camera here and not here at a dramatic angle or further up is so I can still connect with people like I'm right with them, and that means eye contact. If I have the camera further up, it means when I want to talk to people, when I want to look into the camera, I'm looking far away from the screen. If I mount the camera higher, like this, it might give me a clearer to shot picture. Like this is pretty clear, but it means every time I look at the screen, I lose eye contact with the people looking at me. Eye contact is really important in any conversation, and on Zoom, on any kind of video conferencing, you're losing some of that personal connection, and so eye contact through the camera that's well lit and well framed is the next best thing. So I have this camera as close as possible to the screen. So that means when I'm looking at the camera and looking at the screen, there's only a very, very small difference in eye contact. So looking at the camera, looking at the screen, looking at the camera, looking at the screen, looking at the camera, looking at the screen, my eyes are starting to water. And because most of the time they're looking at me through a window this size, it looks like I'm always looking at them. Now finally, the microphone. What this whole system is really good at is being very quiet. Nothing squeaks. Whenever I move anything, you can't hear it through the microphone, through the camera. That means I'm not going to have any extraneous sound whatsoever. For me, that meant getting a very, very good microphone mount, and that's what this is. This is Blue's own mount. It is posable without turning any screws or fittings. The cable hides inside it. It's super easy to move. It also comes with a shock mount, and it just works. I use the Blue Yeti. It's a podcasting microphone. It works really well. There's a solid carbide pattern that picks up my voice in this whole space. out. I have a foam pop shield fitted to the microphone itself. I used to use one of these and sort of clip it to the frame and have it in front of the microphone. It was a slightly better pop filter, but didn't stay in place very well, and I found it a lot more convenient to use this. It's not going to get into frame, it's not going to start moving throughout a session, it's not going to creak and squeak. I always know it's going to do its job. So there's the light, the camera, the microphone. Let's see how it all sounds together. And so here we are. This is what my young people see and hear of me on Zoom. It's clearly framed, you can hear me well wherever I am. I'm able to check on with people in the screen itself. I can also do this, have the laptop on my knee, and I always look crisp and in focus. So there we go, that's what I'm using, the Zoom on my youth clubs. Tell me what you're using in the comments below. Please remember to like, subscribe, and send me nice messages because it's nice. Is that weird?